Guys, so ignore my hair right now. I know it's something. I have kind of decided that I don't really want to continue doing tarot card readings on my other account. You may know me from Eli's Magical Observations on TikTok. I want to kind of switch more over to astrology lessons, birth charts, some astrology events, right, throughout the day, throughout the week, things you may not know about planetary aspects. I kind of just want to do shorter content that works better for TikTok, right? Because my long ass 30-minute tarot card readings that I do, that I try and put in 2 times speed and cut down the videos so they fit on TikTok, it's not doing the energy any good, right? It's making the energy too tense and too overwhelming that to some people the message may not be perceived properly. So I want to do tarot card readings here on YouTube, just so I feel patience, right? Like I don't feel like I'm inherently rushing myself when editing, right? Like I can take my time with these collective readings. And who knows if I'll decide to maybe even post some of the clips of the tarot card reading on TikTok. I'm still not entirely sure. I do also want to do some stuff on Lemon 8. Kind of not even to do with anything with spirituality, just like lifestyle, right? Like what we can do every day in our life to eat better, to live better, to be more active in our lives. Things like that. I really just want to start my social media life and sharing with the public. So this is going to be our collective reading. Today is Monday, June 29th. Once we get into July, we're entering just like a weird time of the season because it's like, okay, it's still summer, but like we're closer to the end of the year than the beginning, right? It's this really weird feeling that like we're closer to 2027 than 2025. Like, what? Like, it's nuts. All right, let's begin our reading. Those ones did not hesitate coming out. The World. So, anytime you pull... Oh, that was the other card. I shouldn't have looked. Anytime you pull a major arcana, is that how you say it? Arcana. Listen, I don't know how to say it. But either way, anytime you see the World, right? This is major. This does represent Earth energy. However, it's ruled by Saturn. It's ruled by the planet of structure and realism and like reality into our everyday lives. So I'm excited to see, because this is our creation card, right? So I can tell you what this means, but until we get the last card, right, because we pulled 2 here, we're only doing 1 more for a daily reading. It honestly remains a little bit vague, right? Because like it really does depend what else is going to be chosen. So the fixed card right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 of Pentacles. 6 typically represents harmony, a sense of peace, but I would say here for action, it's a little bit more balanced. Collectively, what I'm seeing right now is that we're creating the energy we want for our world, for our reality, and we're doing it in a very balanced way, you guys. Good job, right? He's donating some of his money to the poor, right? He's being a fair individual, right? His actions are aligned with his good intentions, right? That's why we say it's the 6 of Pentacles. He's in a harmonious state to actions, right? this isn't telling us that we need to go donate to the poor because our life isn't balanced. It's telling us that we need to, or that we are already creating a good balance in our life and how we are choosing to actually put things into action. Interesting. So we pulled 2 cards, however, I'm not going to be able to tell which one to pull first. I don't necessarily do 4 card readings. I really do try and stick to 3, 5, and 12. So let's say this is a double reading. Let's say that for our last final card, there's 2 messages. But it's still in one section, right? There's 2 cards for one message for the Mutable. This would be different if, like we said, for our Pentacle reading that we had a couple days ago, when we pulled out 1 card and then we pulled out 4, which made 5. That would be different. We pulled 1. No, I'm sorry, we pulled 2 and then we pulled 2. So, depending on what this is, I might want to elaborate. Could this be the 2 cards for creation? This could be the 2 cards for fixed? Or could this be Cardinal, fixed, Mutable? I don't know. Let's see. Yes, bitch. Yes.
Yes!
The High Priestess, she's a fucking queen, okay? Like, she is literally standing between 2 worlds, 2 alternate realities, and she's telling you, like, you are exiting that old mindset. You are in this transition. This is good. This makes me think that we could leave it here off on Mutable. But again, let's see what we get on this card. Interesting, the Lovers. I know lovers are, if I'm not mistaken, Gemini energy. It's the twins. The Lover's similar to the Magician, but it's different. And I think I want Ecosia to tell us what's going on here. Right? Like, maybe I should even ask it too, like, should we pull another 2 cards? Okay, as I looked at it more, I'm getting an idea that this could, in fact, actually be a Pentacle reading. I think if we do 1 more and 1 card comes out, that will make sense. And if 2 cards come out, then we'll just do it the other way. 2 Cardinal, 2 fixed, 2 Mutable. But right now it's making sense that the World would be our ether energy. That the 6 of Pentacles would be our fire, our desire, right? We want balance in the actions that we are taking. We want balance and harmony in the actions that we are taking. The High Priestess would make sense logically for the air energy because she's telling us logically we are physically transitioning into an entirely new way of our mind, where we're literally leaving an old world, right? An old way of life and entering a new one. But emotionally, for the water energy, we got the Lovers, which I do think comes to term with duality, and I think it connects back to the whole message in general. Water versus air energy. Logic versus intuitional energy. Can we, as individuals, can we balance it emotionally? We know that logically we have found ways to balance this new way of living, but emotionally, have we? This is going to be what we search up on Ecosia, right? Like, is this telling us that we need more balance? Is this telling us that we are aware of the balance? I'm interested to see what the Lovers has to tell us, but I'm getting the idea that this is going to be a Pentacle daily reading. Oh, hi, Bubba. Interesting, you guys. We got 2 cards. So we're not playing that game anymore. See, this is the part where it can get confusing, because when you let cards fly out, you don't know how many are going to get pulled out, right? And so I do try and do a daily reflection reading that's all about 3 cards. So you get your Cardinal, fixed, and mutable energy for a reading, and I feel like that's very reflective for how you can choose to rule the day. But this is suggesting that we're going to have double cards. So let me put it back into the right place. We had the World and 6 of Pentacles come out for Cardinal. We had Lovers and the High Priestess come out for fixed. Hi, baby. And they came to me like this. So, I mean, it doesn't matter because they do technically have the both meanings, but I am going to get this one first, the closest towards me. The Knight of Wands. The Knight in a Pentacle may have been taking action, but we already had the Knight of Pentacles yesterday. We have the Knight of Wands. We're taking our passion and our drive into action, into what we want it to do. This bitch. Every time I see her, this is just an honest equation to meditation. It just is. For me personally, right? If you don't believe in that, or if that's not your forte, don't listen to what I'm saying. But every time I see this card, this is typically a reflection that, like, we need more rest. We need to still stay grounded in ourselves. We still need to be structured. We still need to have stability. So I think this is telling us to still have self-care, to still take care of yourself and allow yourself the rest that you may need. Hey you guys, I'm back, and as you can tell, it's been a whole entire new day. Today is the next day, June 30th, and every time I do a tarot card reading, it's typically in the morning or at the beginning of my day, and my goal is to use the modes or Cardinal, fixed, mutable, 3 cards in total based on my shufflings, that they can kind of be hints or clues for the day, perhaps. Like, think about it that way. Think about it that we are getting the energy for today and how we can utilize the tools in our shed, right? It's not a prediction. It's kind of just telling us where the energy is right now. And this is interesting to apply to today's energy, or I'm sorry, yesterday's energy for the 29th, because the astrological events that occurred were absolutely insane. It was one of the biggest nights. First of all, we had the full moon in Capricorn, and this is going to ask us to give us serious deliberation. There may be some form of concentration and determination, right? You are deliberate in your steps. Even something as like an ambitious goal of yours that may seem far-fetched may be coming closer to you. Your duty or your work that you want to do is calling, right? Perhaps your private life is slightly neglected a little bit from yesterday, and there may be a shorter time for enjoyment and leisure. Essentially, what this is suggesting is that there's going to be way less emotional vulnerability, right? There's going to be way less stabilized emotions because we are in this process where we want to get serious and deliberate with the actions and the goals that we want to take. So private life, I mean, more like personal and self-care can become difficult. And not just that, but on top of that, that moon being in Capricorn squared Neptune in Aries. Neptune is represented by our subconscious, possibly our dreams, our fantasies, maybe even illusions. And with Aries being fire and your passion and your want versus Capricorn, which is an earth energy, it's very connected to the physical reality, actually having stability and grounding in what is this experience or how you perceive this experience. There could have been a lot of tendencies yesterday for possibly self-deception. Like, I don't want to say it like that, but maybe an imbalance between your hypersensitivity versus like the part of you that wants to be at calm and at peace. I think there could have been a weakened instinctual life, that your passions were inflicted with your values and your reality. It could have even affected like your nerves yesterday. If something happened with your nervous system or if you felt that yesterday, I'm telling you, could have been some astrology connection spiritually. There's this idea of getting lost in wishful thinking, right? Because when you have Capricorn being so deliberate and determined for stability and grounding in what it wants, the passion of Aries in Neptune, which is all about illusions, do you understand how that can create a messy pattern as far as wishful thinking and like don't reach too close to the sun, right? Like, don't overwhelm yourself with thoughts that are not achievable or are possibly filled with illusions. Like, I wouldn't even watch a horror movie during this time, right? Like, there are literally seasons and cycles of the moon where I wouldn't even want to watch a horror movie. Like, it's just things that will disturb our thought patterns, and we could lead ourselves down vivid paths of bad mindsets. And that's obviously never, ever, 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 ever good. However, there are a couple of things looking up from yesterday, and that was a Mercury retrograde in Cancer. So this means that there's some form of emotional revaluation going on. Spiritually, Mercury, its original thinking and the way that the planet's spiritual meaning aligns to its purpose in a zodiac sign, it is all about thinking itself. It is literally the ruler of wisdom, thinking, communication, anything that has to do with logical or analytical steps that need to be taken. However, a retrograde is an illusion in the sky where, based on Earth and Mercury's cycles, from where we see it based off of the perception of the sun, Mercury seems to be going in an opposite direction, or not in a typical orbital period. That's what it's called when it's in retrograde. It's actually just an illusion from our perception. So spiritually, they take that illusion and they say, let's twist around what Mercury is trying to say right now, because Mercury moving backwards in such a sensitive water sign like Cancer, we're no longer about thinking, we're about feeling. Like, this is the language of how you are feeling, your emotions. We're reconnecting with not just our emotions, but our emotional roots. Like, getting really down into the nitty gritty of how we're actually feeling, not about just a situation, but how this is making us feel as an individual inside. This could even go down to the roots of, like, honoring true feelings, like intuitional energy, possibly over logical thoughts, where you kind of just take this emotional leap into action, and what your true passion is intuitionally, and not fall into this logical, analytical thought process, because there's a risk where you can end up creating a very negative or overwhelming mindset, which is exactly what I tried to avoid yesterday. There was really so much I wanted to do, and I couldn't really get my thoughts organized into the way that I wanted to before I proceeded with those actions. I really just had to trust my intuition and just take those steps. And it was especially beneficial yesterday. I took things moment by moment, and I didn't let one thing completely ruin this structure that I was trying to incorporate into my daily life. Because there's always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be something where you're not going to be consistently directly on your line, on your way, right? There's going to be twists and turns and bumps on the road. And so the astrology for today said it might be extra sensitive today. However, something that's really, really major that is occurring, that is good news for honestly all of us right now, is that although yesterday was such a big moment for recouping our emotions and getting them back on the track that we wanted them to be on, Jupiter now enters Leo. This is like a complete contradiction to the energy that we had yesterday. This is the energy that is here today, and y'all, I am feeling it. Jupiter in Leo is beyond what Jupiter already means, which is all about opportunity, expansion, and growth. But it depends on what sign it's in, because it can be a very grounding experience, it can be a very emotional growing experience, or it can be a new way of thinking or a new mindset that it's expanding. However, it's in Leo. Leo is not only fire, but it rules fire. Like, that is our passion, our creativity, our desire, what we want to do, right? Me choosing to film this video right now was that passion. And the fact that this energy is so present and so available, I truly feel it. And before we finally get into the conclusion, which I know everyone is waiting for, I do think it's important to realize how crazy astrology shifts every day and how it changes, and why it is so important to do a tarot card reading. Are we gonna pull tarot cards that every single time they are going to be the planets that are aligned to that card or the zodiacs that are aligned to that card? No. But what the actual card represents spiritually, period, the overall message, that can, yes, 100% connect to our lives. It doesn't have to be accurate to the grounding of that card. It's just energy overall. And that energy is coming from me. And when we connect it to astrology, it gives us a better understanding. Okay, this isn't just what I'm saying and the words coming out of my mouth. This is also what astrology is suggesting. This is also what real world events that happened today or yesterday reflect on what I said. Do you know what I mean? Like, everything in tarot cards can be influenced to truly understand the universal experiences of life. All 78 cards, they can be plugged into anything. It doesn't matter what card you pull. There is a message, and you can perceive it however way you want to. And I truly enjoy collective readings and sharing them with you guys, because it brings a sense of not just purpose in the practice that I do, but a sense of joy that when I did my own personal tarot card readings, the messages that I literally got was to start sharing collective ideas, or it was starting to grow. It was time to start doing these projects that I've been wanting to do for so long, like start a YouTube channel or like start my social media accounts in general. So collective readings are really important to me, because I think we all have the power to interpret the energy the way we want to in our lives. And that's why I try to be very generic and very broad sometimes, especially at the beginning of tarot card readings before we do these conclusions at the end, because we don't want to be too judgmental. We don't want to overstep and say things that may not align with the collective. So without further ado, let's go over the conclusion of these cards and how it reflected the collective yesterday. When we talk about the two cards pulled for Cardinal, the creation, this makes so much sense when we talk about friends here in America will understand this. The Supreme Court made some pretty big decisions yesterday and today as well, but it's overall, it's a creation, right? It's the start of putting harmony and balance into action, into physical reality, and that is what I saw. You can agree or disagree with what the Supreme Court did, but either way, they made decisions that were big today, right? That's what we can all agree on. And I think the world coming out is very important for that too, because it is reflective of our world in general, and being grounded in the cycles of life, and creating that sense of structure. So I definitely, again, for the collective, again, this could say that we are truly starting to create harmony and balance in the way that we are taking action in our lives. However, I did really want to connect it to the Supreme Court, because I do think it's interesting that this is what we pulled, and historical events are real. The world can also represent wholeness or completion. Like, we are in a level of fulfillment. It's often debated on whether or not it's Saturn or Jupiter energy, which those two can sometimes even contradict each other. But really just think of everything to do with the world, right? Like the things we value, the things that we understand is our reality, the stability that we put ourselves in, how grounded we are to our beliefs and our values itself. This card really does embody forms of generosity and material balance. Like, this is definitely, without a doubt, a card where for the collective, you are expecting some sort of material balance, like a policy change or some sort of social responsibility that was implemented or initiatives that were taken place. And they, in fact, were, whether you agree with them or not. Like, that collective energy is true. And the next mode is fixed. And we got the High Priestess and the Lovers. And I think what was so fun about the Lovers is that this in itself was a hint for the reading. This is Gemini. These are the twins. And so, and even this too, the two realities that we're transferring from, I think it's so interesting that the first shuffle, we got 2 cards. The second shuffle, we got another 2 cards. And then the third shuffle, we got 2 cards. This was hinting to us the height of the theme, right? The High Priestess is that intuitional energy. So we could connect it to the moon in Cancer. This card does actually have that literal meaning astrologically. It is very often associated with the moon and Cancer. So I love that we pulled this one for that day. Makes sense for those events. So everything I said about the moon being in Cancer, it's kind of just more about that emotional revelations. However, the moon and Neptune being in that connection, there could be new ways of sensitivity in our lives or new emotional levels of awareness, dare I say. But this one here, the Lovers, this is also connected, I would even say, to this for the collective. We're having a moment of choices. It could be relationships, I would say, for the collective. Think if you have a relationship in your life. I don't. I'm a single lady. But think any form of alignment with your values or decision making. This could reflect on, I would say, like, diplomatic, ethical, public debates or dilemmas or conversations where there is a polarity. Not like an argument, not a disagreement, but again, a card where we're symbolizing a choice in alignment with our values. And lastly, for our Mutable, we got Knight of Wands. This is telling us that there's a strong energy and impulse for not just action, but adventure. The Knight of Wands. Wands is fire, so it's passion, creativity, all of what fire is all about, that drive, that courage. Collectively, this could mean, did you have a crash out? Like, that's far-fetched, but some sort of outburst, some sort of some sort of bold action was taken. Let me rephrase it that way. Some sort of bold action may have been taken by a group or yourself, an individual. Possibly social movements gaining momentum. But the Four of Swords is kind of telling us afterwards from that, there's a call for the collective for rest and recovery. The Four of Swords. When we talk about yeses and nos in astrology, the swords often is considered a no. I don't think anything is really a yes or no, but a no is more of like a hesitation or an obstacle that you have to overcome in order to achieve. Because swords is about thinking and understanding to what you are doing. I would suggest that after that sudden burst of energy, there's going to be a call for a moment of collective stillness, maybe some rest, self-care initiatives. Like I said earlier, meditation, if that's your thing. Honestly, you're getting this completion and balance that's being created somehow collectively that is rooted in hidden truths that we may not have been able to immediately catch, that reveal that intuitional energy led and it clashed with our decision making. And whatever that decision making was and how it transitioned us, we used our passion, and there were definitely sudden activities. Like I said, this could have been that full moon in Capricorn combined with the Neptune in Aries square that was going on, and a call for collective rest. You guys relax. So as a whole, yeah, this is interesting. I could probably go into more detail if I wanted to about even the events that happened today. I think as far as every day, it's probably best to use one key example so we don't get out of control. So I think the Supreme Court was a good example. I think we saw it in the Six of Pentacles. I think we saw it in the High Priestess, maybe in some of the conservative justices' eyes. Again, the Lovers, too. Astrologically, for the events that happened, I think the World makes sense because the World is Saturn, and Saturn is ruled by Capricorn. The Knight of Wands is representing that square aspect with Neptune being in Aries, how we took bold action and there might be a need for some rest. So I will let you guys know, maybe in the comments somewhere, I don't know, if I'm deciding to do another video tomorrow, because I do need time to edit this one, but overall, I would say I'm happy for our first reading, for YouTube, and I'm more excited to post on here for some reason. I don't know, I just think the communication is going to be much more clear. If you are watching this video all the way to now, to the end, it means you paid attention and you stayed focused to the messages that I was portraying, which is my intention. I don't want you to go through this feeling rushed. And if you enjoy this and if you enjoy the way I talk, like the video, boost this video so I can get more viewers. Girl, I'ma just be real with you. And make sure to subscribe if you actually enjoy this content and you like how I do my tarot card readings. And if you are interested, feel free to go to any of my other social media accounts. TikTok is Eli's Magical Observations. On Instagram, I'm Eli Griggs, and on Lemonade, Eli Griggs. So at the end of the day, my final message, the most important relationship you can have is with the experience itself. Bye, guys.